Hi guys, it's reaction time. I am excited. I'm a little bit excited. It's Sweet and Lynch, Michael Sweet and George Lynch. Man, I mean, some of me growing up listening to Dokken and Stryper. Huge memories. Everyone knows that I'm a massive Stryper and Michael Sweet fan. Also, I am a massive Dokken fan. Lynch Mob fan as well. So man, this is just so cool. I mean, they've had 2 albums out already, Sweet and Lynch. They've both been great. This 3rd album, Hearts and Sacrifice, is coming out on the 19th of May on Frontiers. So of course I'm getting a little bit excited about that. When your favourite musicians come together and collab together, you can't help it, can you? You just can't help it. So I mean, I love both albums. I think I preferred the first album a little bit more, although the second album was great as well. So it's, you know, really interesting to these guys to get together. I mean, Michael Sweet's been on a, you know, a songwriting marathon that is just amazing. Do you know what I mean? Everything he writes just seems to be turned to gold. It's just superb. So, you know, really excited to hear what they're going to do together with this one. Also joining Michael Sweet on lead vocals and guitars, by the way, is obviously George Lynch on lead guitars, Alessandro Del Vecchio on bass, and Jelly Cardarelli on the drums. Normally I notice, you know, or recognise some of the names on the backup musicians on some of these. I don't recognise him, but obviously I recognise Alessandro Del Vecchio. Produced by Michael Sweet and Alessandro Del Vecchio. So, I mean, man, some of the collabs that you get on Frontiers, probably one of my favourite ones, this one, because of who's involved especially, and the songwriting. That's what it's all about. We all know Michael Sweet can sing anything. We know George Lynch can play anything, but can they write a great song? Well, they proved they can already, but let's just make sure they can for a 3rd time. So this is Sweet and Lynch. The song's actually called You'll Never Be Alone. I've got to, yeah, I mean, this has been out 2 hours. I've got to get down to it. Here we go. A dirty riff. Yeah. Quick stop there, guys. So The cat's really annoying. But apart from that, bluesy, quite surprising, I would say, for me. I didn't know what to expect. I mean, out of especially that first album that Sweet and Lynch brought out, very sort of, you know, almost like you could say that song is a little bit like Dokken. That sounds a little bit like Striper. That sounds like Lynch Mob. You could sort of almost, you know, not with every song, but you could sort of like work out where they're coming from and the influences obviously they've had from the past, you know, making that even more clearer because you're thinking about, you know, what bands they've been in. This doesn't sound like either to me. This doesn't sound like Lynch Mob, Striper or Dokken, but it sounds fucking great. It really does. It's got a real dirty sounding guitar sound. I mean, my mate Ralph said to me earlier, the guitar sound, check out the guitar sound. A bit of a strange one, he said. I think he said strange or, you know, it's different guitar sound. Oh yeah, I mean, it's almost, he's got something going on his guitar on this one, Lynch. It's almost like it's not fully electric. It's almost halfway between. It's very sort of 70s sounding, I would say, on that guitar. It sounds a bit different for him. I mean, that riff, when it first came in, I almost felt it had a slight AC/DC touch with a couple of variations on there. Not totally AC/DC, don't get me wrong, but a little bit similar. And then when it crashed in, Michael Sweet, man, I mean, his vocals, he can scream still, amazingly, even live, almost like he did back in 1987. Do you know what I mean? But and it's just one of the wonders, isn't it? Yeah, he really obviously has looked after his voice and proves it time and time again, live or on a record, that he's got an outstanding vocal. He really has, can sing anything, and that's pretty amazing, really. I've always said I actually prefer his vocals now than way back when, you know, we were singing, you know, On the Tail with the Devil. I think now, with that grit he's got, that little bit more of aggression that he's got, I think he's, you know, smashing it now vocally. George Lynch is just amazing. Some of the footage you see now of him playing with Dokken when he jumps on and does a bit of jam, you know, when Dokken are playing with Lynch Mob, I think they've been guesting that band and he's been jumping on them. It's just like, man, it's just like these guys. It's like 1986 all over again, and ain't it great? Ain't it absolutely fantastic? And like I said, what they've got to do, they're so good, you know, technically so good, vocalists, vocals and guitar. Can they write a song? Well, they proved it, haven't they? It's groove laden, bluesy, but really catchy at the same time. I like the way the chorus sort of opens up, and it almost feels like only the last line is the chorus. It's a really cool bit of songwriting, if you ask me. But yeah, love it. The groove is just, you know, you can't help. The head can't help going. It's ridiculous. The groove on it is ridiculous. And I tell you what I love about this is that this is, I mean, it does sound, it's not something you would expect for the first single. I think you would expect something a bit more up-tempo maybe, something that's split more between the, like I said, the Striper and Dokken thing maybe. And they've gone for something totally different. Is this something we're going to get across the record? Is this just a taste of lots of different styles we're going to get? Because it's definitely different, and what I wasn't expecting it, but it's a killer song. It really is. There's, you know, and I keep saying now I'm looking for different stuff in music, you know, looking for something that grabs me a little bit more than the norm, because ain't there a lot of music now that sounds the same? Ain't there a lot of bands that are good, really good, but sometimes you hear it, is that band or is it that band? Can't really tell. So I do look for something that grabs me that's a little bit different now. And you know what? This has surprised me. It sounds definitely different to what I'd expect. So absolutely love it. It's fantastic. What else do you expect? It's George Lynch and Michael Sweet, man. Amazing stuff. Here we go for the rest. We're going to get a George Lynch solo, hopefully. I'm sure we will. You know, he's gonna smash it out of the park. I'm really going to try and pay attention to the solo. Here we go, guys. I loved it. The solo surprised me. No showing off, really, from George Lynch. The funny thing is, we know he can play anything, and it sounded like the most simple solo he could have ever played. I couldn't play it, by the way, but almost like thought about the song. You know, he thought about the song. If he went and shredded at that moment in time in this sort of slow to medium paced groove laden song, it probably would have sounded out of place. So he almost done like the most simple solo I've ever heard George Lynch play, but didn't take anything away from the song. Absolutely fantastic song. That guitar sound, I can't get over it. It's almost like retro sort of, I don't know. It's a weird one. I haven't heard his guitar sound like that before, George Lynch. Almost like he's got hardly any effect on it at all. Like almost like plugging it in, you know, halfway between a clean guitar sound and an electric guitar sound. And it almost gives it a raw feeling. Really does. It's a strange one, but loved it, by the way. The bass, by the way, I forgot to say, the bass, like when it, especially in those verses where the guitar stops and the bass just rumbles along, sounds absolutely fantastic. The production on this is nice and clear. Obviously, Michael Sweet is a great producer, so like working with Alessandro Del Vecchio, I think they've got a really good balance in the mix of the song there. You know, the instruments sound really loud, every one of them. The bass sounds nice and loud, but the song doesn't sound overly loud altogether. You know, it's not one of these songs that's going for the loud wars, if you like. It's, you know, nicely balanced. It sounds great, dynamic, light and shade. Sounds fantastic. That was the first song from Sweet and Lynch, and it's made me really excited to, you know, what are we going to get next? Are we going to get something along the lines of the first album? Are they going to carry on with this bluesy type stuff? I think they're going to be a little bit of a mixture of everything, really, and I think that's what these albums are all about. They give you a little bit of everything from their past as well, and when they come together they do something different as well. Absolutely fantastic. Loved it. What do you reckon, guys? Sweet and Lynch, You'll Never Be Alone. The album Heart and Sacrifice is out in May. Are you going to get this? Have you been looking forward to it? What do you reckon of that song, though? In the comments below, guys. I'll see you soon.